What's up, folks? Hope everybody's doing well today. If this is your first time listening to the show, please hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a comment what you liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show. We enjoy the comments. We read every one of them, I promise you. All the returning listeners, welcome back. Great to see y'all again. Thank you so much for all the support you've shown so far. Keep it coming. We really appreciate it. If you haven't switched over to Amazon Smile, please do so. I know you're tired of hearing me talk about it, but it's important. Go to Amazon app, go to the Amazon website, however you shop on Amazon. In the product search bar, type in Smile. In the drop-down box, Amazon Smile will be one of the options. Just click that. The next page you get to, follow the prompts that it asks you to do. Super simple, super easy. At the very bottom, where it's going to ask you which charitable fund you want to donate to, Professional Firefighters of North Carolina Charitable Fund is what you want to put in that search. You can copy and paste it from the link in the bottom of this show in the description. There'll be a link to it. You can just copy and paste it and put it in the Amazon box. That'd be great. Next on the show, episode number 60, is Mr. Joe Pinto. Joe Pinto is a photographer. He has been a photographer for FDNY for 42 plus years. He's an honorary member of FDNY. Takes all the pictures for Fire Apparatus Magazine. Our conversation with him was very inspiring and very great opportunity to learn. How he kind of got started and got into the fire service was very interesting. It was a great show. He's been able to take some pictures of some very memorable moments for the FDNY, some dealing with 9/11. Just hearing his story was great, and we're very honored that he was gracious with his time and came and spent some time in the studio with us. Here's Mr. Joe. Hope y'all enjoy.
All right. Yeah.
Go.
Normally we have a third guy, handsome fella that sits over there and he makes sure. So our rate of having a mistake goes up when he's not here.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a magic man that sits back there,
Yeah.
make sure everything's in line. We call him the producer. I call him Fingers
Yeah.
because he does some miracles back there. But
Yeah. It's a lot of the magic. Like without a person back there, it makes it so much more difficult. Because here now we can't tell if everything's still running. So then your brain's like, is it recording? You know.
Hopefully it
we'll
is.
catch it somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's
It
good.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he Jeremy King. You may have ran into him or met him before, but he left the fire service and he's going to PA school. He got into PA school at ECU, so he's moving to Greenville.
Big brain.
Yep, smart guy. I'm super happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Good dude. Good dude. So so you started as a banker.
Okay. You want to hear the full story?
I do. Let's start
Yeah.
where you come from, Mr. Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in the Bronx. At 9 years old, I started hanging out in Engine 41. That was back in 1963. Then at that time, the Bronx was burning. As you read about it in Report from Engine Company 82, the book that came out by Dennis Smith. I seen a lot of fires. The only bad thing was, at that time, I wasn't taking pictures.
All right. Yeah.
I've seen first two fires, brownstones, wooden tenements going up in flames. I moved out of the neighborhood in 1969, moved up to Yonkers. Still involved a little bit with the fire department up there, trying to get to know the guys in Yonkers. Meanwhile, I was still coming down to the Bronx, hanging out in 41. During those years, 41 became two companies. They put a second section in 41 because of the heavy volume of fire duty. And after that, I laid low a little bit. And then I started buying pictures from Jack Calderon, who was retired as a battalion chief, who did the Fire Apparatus Journal. Then I decided, hey, I can take my own pictures.
Yeah.
Like looking at his, seeing how I can take the pictures. He was like my mentor with taking pictures. And from there, I started taking pictures. I came upon, in 1980, a fire in Harlem on 110th Street. it went to 4 alarms, and I was at a fire muster, and one of the firemen from 26 truck, he retired as battalion chief Don Haid, saw my pictures. Says to me, "You have more pictures. Do you have pictures of the fire?" And I says, "Yeah, I have. I took 4 rolls of pictures." He says, "Then come down to the firehouse, have lunch with us." And that's how it started with my 42 years hanging out at Engine 5.8 and Ladder 2.6.
So prior to you growing up just in that part of the city, do you have any family lineage with the fire service, or just you?
No,
and
just me.
That's so cool.
Just me. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I did take the FDNY test back in the 70s. The 70s were hard times for the city. They put job freezes on.
Ah,
I got called for NYPD twice, and twice I was all set to go into the academy. Job freeze occurred, and that knocked it out.
Yeah, just wasn't meant
I
to
took
be.
the fire department test, the same thing, job freeze.
Man,
what timing on that?
So that's when I went into banking. I says, enough. Let me try something else. I went into banking, and I did 30 years of banking. I got laid off in 2004. J.P. Morgan Chase bought us out, and they didn't want us. So I got a nice package. I left there as an assistant vice president. And I laid low for about maybe 3 months, 4 months. And I went to work for Liberty Lines Transit, a bus company in Westchester County that handles all the buses for Westchester County. I started as a supervisor, and then I retired as a transit system administrator. I was in charge of the radio system for the buses.
okay.
And all during that time, I was going down to the firehouse every Friday night, every Saturday night. I was down there. It was like my second home. A lot of firefighters came through there, got promoted, became assistant chiefs, became chief of department. Like I took care of all the history on it, on the house.
That's super cool.
With all the pictures, I collected all the pictures of the apparatus. I have pictures since the companies were incorporated. I got those through another mentor who was the head of the fire department library, Jack Lurch. So that was it. I seen a lot of fires, see a lot of guys get promoted.
Seems like you thrived in every job you had. It's such a shame you didn't get into the firehouse. In one of those processes, you would have been good.
And I also do the apparatus photography of the Yonkers Fire Department. So been putting together everything. I have another guy who takes care of some of the history, Jamie Minks, who's in the rescue company there, and we have a good time. I learned a lot at the firehouse, especially with cooking.
Yeah.
That house was famous for the firefighters that are great cooks.
Had all the chefs there.
Mm-hmm.
There was one firefighter that did a cookbook there, John Sonino. He did the firefighters cookbook. I have a few recipes in that cookbook.
Okay.
And even his second version of it, there's recipes. And I also have 2 recipes in a cookbook done by New York Times food critic Molly O'Neill.
Okay.
She did New York Cooks, the name of the cookbook. Her brother is Paul O'Neill that played for the New York Yankees.
Okay. I was sitting here thinking that when the chief or captain asked you about your pictures the first time, and you were like, "Yeah, I took 4 rolls of pictures." How different?
Yeah, it was a 35
How different?
camera.
Yeah, and nowadays it's like, of course I have pictures. I mean, it's it's not a
You want to see.
Yeah.
It's so wild. How many years did you take pictures where you had to develop film and do that sort of thing?
Since the first digital camera came out, I was taking both. I was taking actually three. I had three cameras, one for film, one for slides. And when digital came out, I was carrying the digital camera also. Like backup, backup, backup.
Yeah, redundancy. Yeah. And when you're talking about slides, you're not talking about PowerPoint.
No.
Yeah, you're talking about slides.
35 millimeter slides.
I'm not laughing because it's silly. It's amazing to me how just the progression of just this one single industry. You're talking about cameras and what a commodity you were, you know, back then when everybody didn't have them. You know, the value of a picture that you could hold, that memory that was captured, or that incident that was captured, it's priceless. And if you lost it, it's gone.
Gone.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no database. I mean, it's
Or
gone.
if something happened when they were developing the film,
It's gone.
you're out of luck.
Yeah. Did you ever consider doing the whole black bag thing and having the dark room at your house, or you trusted the place where you took
I
your film?
trusted the place.
Yeah.
I did take a couple of classes on black and white photography, doing the developing and everything else. A friend of mine who's no longer with us, Tom Wanstall, had a black and white studio from one of his bedrooms
Okay.
in his house. And I would take a roll of black and white and go over there and develop it with him.
Sure. I remember back when I was in middle school, that part of art class that we took was film was developing, and we had a dark room. It was a closet at the school. It was a tiny school, private school, but it was part of it. Like you would go, you know, develop pictures, put them into chemicals, hang them up, and that was part of the thing. And that wasn't that long ago. I mean, you're talking 2001. I'm telling on myself how young I am. I'm only 22, so
Correct. Yeah.
but that was, I mean, you know, 2002, 2001, in that era, and it's just, God, where it's gone since then it's unreal, unreal.
And like through the firehouse too, I was made an honorary deputy chief. And a few years after that, I got promoted to an honorary assistant chief of department.
That's outstanding.
And that was done, both were done by the commissioners and through the guy Jack Lurch and this other guy Joe Higgins, getting me promoted.
It shows the value they placed in what you were providing for them.
Yeah.
It's
then
honorable.
Also through the department, the word from the staff chiefs, this company came about, Code 3 Collectibles. They wanted to do die-cast models of FDNY rigs. And Jack Lurch's name and my name were given to them. And that's how I started photographing for the replica company.
Yeah.
I believe I have some of those. I know I've got at least, they did a car, might have been a chief's car or an admin car or something like that, but I've got a Code 3 car. It's FDNY. I think it's still in the box and everything.
You got to go see Brent, what I gave him.
Okay. Did you give him some cool stuff? Is he going to make me jealous?
Probably. Yeah.
Yep. And then Code 3, I did Code 3 for about maybe 10 years, and then they went out of business. And this new company came along, Fire Replicas, and Jack Lurch and myself went with them for a while. And then they went in a whole different direction, and they wanted somebody else. And we just stepped aside, and no regrets.
Sure.
Yeah. Things change and stuff happens. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
You mentioned in the early part, Engine 41, and they switched over from a single company house to a two company.
Yeah, they made Engine 411, first section, and then the second section of 41.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bronx companies and Brooklyn companies and some Harlem companies were made second sections.
Yeah. And that was
Those are the fire duty, the heavy fire duty.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. How was that received by the house?
A lot of new guys coming in. everybody had to get adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
It was different from being a single engine to a two-section engine.
Right.
And what they used to do is every month they used to switch. Engine 41 first section would become the second section, and 412 would become the first section. They would just switch, where 412 would respond on the first two boxes, and the following month 411 would go back to their first two boxes.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
how it works in the firehouse too is with cooking. 1 month the engine cooks, 1 month the truck cooks.
Okay. It's similar like that in our house, only we don't have set. I think some of the shifts, because we're a 2-company house, but I think some of the shifts do it truck and then engine. On mine, we just do individuals. There's 6 of us, 3 days, 2 meals. So each person cooks 1 meal for the entire shift, and then you're done for the rest of the tour. So like yesterday, I did lunch. So now I'm done cooking for the tour, and it's somebody else's. So we don't divvy it up in truck and engine. I think C Shift there does do that, but it's all divided. Now the single company houses, I guess they don't really have that luxury, unless you do it just at dinner or whatever, a meal that you choose. But
I've had the pleasure now of working both setups, and it's different. Like a single company house is a whole different vibe. I was wondering, and how are you received? You know, like it was your house. You know, you were hanging out there, and
It's funny, when I started hanging out there, it was like open house. They welcomed me. They didn't know me from here to the end of the table,
right,
but they just opened the doors to me. And a month into it, the lieutenant in the truck, Jack Corcoran, says, "Here, this is for you. It's the key to the front door of the firehouse."
that's so cool.
yeah,
And to go back to our conversation, that seems abnormal for kind of the public culture up there. You know, we were talking about how the just the hospitality differences. And, it's different. That's cool that the fire department, I guess, that's not the
99%,
same.
Probably any firehouse you go into, you'll be welcomed.
Yeah, when we went on our visit, the firehouses were nothing like the general public. I mean, they were always. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but we went on top of the 1010 house and looked down into the crater where it was the original towers.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. I don't know. They probably don't do that for everybody, but
No.
it was yeah, it was really neat. It was really neat. That's super cool. They just were like, yeah, come on in. That's neat.
Yeah, they opened the door. Like, I was offered lunch. Come on, sit down, have lunch with us. Even a lot of the firehouses when I went around taking the apparatus photos. Did you eat? You didn't eat? Sit down, have lunch with us. We didn't know them. We were just taking apparatus pictures.
Right.
Yeah. The industry is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty friendly. That's so neat. How did you get hooked up with Fire Apparatus Journal?
Well, I became friends with Jack Calderon,
Okay.
buying his pictures at the fire musters. And then he started with the magazine and wound up doing the Westchester column. I was submitting pictures of FDNY to him. And then I got his ear. I says, what about a Westchester column? And then 2 years ago, Jack Lurch used to write the column for FDNY, and Jack passed away. And then Jack Calderon says to me, do you want to do the FDNY column along with the Westchester column? I said, sure. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
So now every new apparatus that comes into FDNY's fleet, do you take pictures of?
Yep.
Nice. You probably stay busy.
I have, how to say it, good. I'm in good with the shops.
Okay.
And the commissioner there, Mark Arenberg, I get along with great. And also the heads of the foremans, the heads of the ladder section, the pumper section. I contact them and they tell me what's in. I go out there, I take my pictures, they pull the truck outside for me, I get the pictures for the magazine, and I put it in the column.
That's neat.
And even some of the manufacturers, Ferrar, when they get a new piece of equipment for FDNY, I go out to Jersey, I photograph it. Same thing with Seagrave. I do the same thing with Seagrave.
And you're broadening your horizons now. You're starting to do it for us.
Yep.
He did. What year did you do the column for Wilmington?
It was maybe 2 to 3 years ago.
Okay. And then,
now you have New Hanover coming out.
yep, that'll be soon, right?
Yeah, it should be out at the end of the month. It's the September, October issue.
Perfect.
Yeah, nice.
Perfect. That's originally where I met Joe, was at the training center. He had the truck and the rescue and all that stuff out there and was taking pictures. Super cool.
Yeah, I had my personal chauffeur, Brent.
Yeah, shout out Brent for that one. Yeah.
What's the most preferred name brand in New York? Like Seagrave is pretty.
Seagrave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything that's coming in now is Seagrave, except for the rescues. You got pumpers coming in. You got rear mounts, ladders coming in. And you got tillers coming in.
All Seagrave.
All Seagrave.
That's got to be a pretty cool deal to be FDNY exclusive. Yeah, I don't know. There was a few floating around down here for a little while, but it seems like they're very popular up that way.
Well, down here is Pierce country.
That's right. Yep.
That's what you see is Pierce.
Yep. Pierce, and I guess E1. I think they're probably next in line with Pierce.
I wonder how that came to be. I know they linked up with NASCAR. Could it be that simple?
I don't know.
You know?
Pierce is not from here. I mean,
Right.
they're Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't.
Well, the same thing with Seagrave. Seagrave's from Wisconsin.
Okay. But it seems like, is Wisconsin a shorter distance to New York than it is to,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do the states in between Wisconsin and New York, are they Seagrave folks as well? Or is it just a hodgepodge of everywhere?
Hodgepodge of everywhere.
That's interesting how that all kind of pans out. But I guess it's like any other industry. I mean, it's Ford, GMC, they're all over the place. So,
Yeah, like my city where I live in Yonkers is all Ferrar.
we had a Ferrar here in the county for a while. One of the, back when the volunteer houses were still up, they had one, and I drove that thing a time or two. Yeah, it was huge. The cab, I think it was it was something crazy, like a 12-man cab or something like that. It was spec specifically for some reason, and the front steer tires set. I'm not being funny either. I promise you, this is the truth. If the rear tire or the steer tires were here, you sat at least to the end of the table. You were that far out in front of them. The back of that thing was like a dance floor. It was huge.
I took my Class B in that truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
So when you turned, it was like you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a good truck. But that's the only one I've seen down here. I'm sure they're around. Super neat.
You know how you have assumptions, and like I just had a realization that my assumption might just be my exposure, but like New York, FDNY specifically, but New York has this, everybody knows fire's a big business up there. And Pennsylvania, to my knowledge, is another like hot spot. Like, you know, you're going to find cool trucks and like firemen in those areas. Is that just because that's the people that I've met? Like, what do you think? You know, is it widespread and I just know of those areas?
You get some departments that are plain Jane with the apparatus. FDNY likes to decorate, put the logos on their rigs or gold leaf on their rigs. It looks good.
They are good looking rigs.
It is good. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was up there, I know we saw Engine 14. And I don't remember which other ones we saw. Obviously, the 1010 ones, the ones that are in there. But they're good looking, but they are they're work trucks.
Yes.
They ain't no parade pieces.
Mm-mm.
They are work trucks. It's different than when you get, even some of ours. I've told them, I'm like, that's too pretty to be a fire truck. It's got too much chrome on it. It's,
Right.
Yeah. You know what that thing's gonna look like in 2 years down here in the salt air and everything else. It's like, but yeah, they're good looking and they scream work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
They take the companies take pride in their rigs,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
pride in their rigs, pride in the firehouse. You never know when somebody's going to come in to visit.
Yeah. What's that event that happens where fire trucks come from all around and they draft out of this single body of water? They throw it right back in. But I've seen pictures.
Fire muster.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's fire muster when you have antiques and you have
Yep.
fire trucks from all around.
Okay,
have
so
fire
that's
musters.
what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
All right.
Do they still do that?
At certain areas, a lot in Jersey.
Okay.
They do. They also do it in Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, I had Rebecca Thurston's here, who's the PIO of Wilmington,
Uh-huh.
and I said to her, "Why don't you have like a firefighters' day and get the surrounding area over, right? Display your equipment. Get people that have antiques and have them come." I says, "You got the fire department training center.
Right.
You can have it there." And also, to take pride in the companies, have a chili cook-off
Yeah.
where each house, the same, like with you guys coming over, with New Hanover, with Wilmington, Pender County, whatever, having a chili cook-off.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
They shut down downtown streets all the time for reasons. I don't know why we couldn't convince them to do that.
Yeah.
And it would coincide next year. Apparently next year is Wilmington's 125th anniversary.
Wow.
Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. This year is our 25th.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds so silly, but
We've
yeah.
accomplished a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot done
Mhm.
in New Hanover. Yeah. Wilmington's, it's got some history here. And I think that's one of the things that kind of goes off what you were talking about, how there's the fire culture is so big up there, is the history in it.
Yeah.
And it maybe the fact that everything up there is so tight. Like, even the population in the cities, they're all so tight. Whereas down here, and the further you go south until you probably get, to your bigger metropolitan cities, but everything's kind of spread out. Everybody's not on top of each other. So that kind of tribalism, I guess you could say, is not quite as, dense in one area. Whereas, how often was the firefighters that worked in the house, did they live right there close to it? You hear about it. I've heard PD documentaries and stuff like that from.
A lot of firefighters live outside the city. There are firefighters living in the city, but the majority live outside the city.
Has it always been that way?
Uh,
I'm just thinking where that kind of tradition and culture was kind of cultivated and born.
Yeah.
It seems like they would probably.
well, when they had the horses,
Yeah.
they lived in the area.
Sure.
Because I've seen the journals.
Uh-huh.
Firefighter such and so leaving quarters to have dinner at home. Then when they come back, they put in return to quarters.
These are written journals.
Written journal.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Matter of fact, when I was a kid with Engine 41, I used to write in their journals. Whenever an alarm came in, I write it in the journal. When they came back to quarters, I wrote it in the journal. But those journals, some companies kept them. Some companies kept them in the basement, and they wound up being flooded,
Right.
and they were all destroyed.
What a shame.
Yeah.
And I went looking one time. My friend of mine was covering in 41. I went upstairs to the third floor. They have all the old wooden lockers. And you can smell the wood the minute you went upstairs. and on top they had space with cabinets, and that's where all the old journals were. And I went into that cubby hole. I spent about 3 hours up there looking for the journal that I wrote in, and I couldn't find it.
Dang. Have you taken any pictures of like journal entries in any of these journal entries or anything like that?
No.
Dude, you need a portfolio, like a giant book, and take pictures and like explain what it is and stuff, kind of like a history timeline. I'd buy it.
I know. Yep.
For sure. I'm sure your eyes have had the opportunity to see some things that a lot of people won't, and you've captured images that without you otherwise would be forgotten.
Yes.
That's
A photograph is an amazing thing.
yeah, it's irreplaceable.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, to bounce off Steve, it's very honorable. I mean, to just be around it that much, and I'm sure back in the day when you first started and when you were heavy into it, you probably weren't being compensated at all for it.
No.
So
No, I did this all on my own.
that just says even more, about it. Yeah, and I'm sure maybe a picture pops up from somebody's past loved one that they're not here anymore, they've passed away, but you're the only one who was able to capture that picture.
I'll give you an example. When 9/11 happened, I lost a good friend, Jack Fanning. He was a chief. He was also a lieutenant in 26 Truck. So I got a picture of him on Medal Day, and he was in full dress uniform with all his medals on him, and I took his picture. And it happens that he got killed that day on 9/11. And his wife contacted me, and she says, "Do you have that picture of Jack?" I says, "Yes, I do." She says, "Can you make me up a copy?" And I made her up a copy. When I went down to the 9/11 museum, where they had all the pictures of everybody that was killed, there was my picture of him.
That's so neat.
I was so overcome.
I'm sure.
I nearly lost it. So I took a picture of the picture, and wouldn't you know it, security guard comes up to me and says, "I want you to destroy that picture. You can't take any pictures." I says, "I'm not going to destroy it because that's my picture that I took. And I want to have something so I can see what's hanging up on the wall."
Sure.
I bet he understood that.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity, I haven't taken the opportunity to go see that. I've heard nothing but amazing things from
It's
that.
amazing, and it's also very emotional.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Agreed. Yep.
You've been?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not something you rush through.
No.
Yeah,
Yep.
I need to get in touch with Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Make a trip.
Yep. And that description of the photo, like, I appreciate pictures because it captures a moment, but then like hearing you guys talk about that, like for the wife, it's capturing him, like
sure.
that's, I'm sure she was so desperate to have something, all the pieces to be able to hold on to. It's necessary.
How much have you watched the fire service change since you came in? That could be any aspect. We can pick a topic if you want. I'm sure it's big and broad.
There's a lot of topics.
What's been the most, I don't want to say surprising, but maybe surprising is the right word, that you've seen a change in the industry and you're like, never thought I would have saw that.
We discussed it coming down around the kitchen table, how the firefighters, after a job, would come back to the firehouse, clean up, and come back down to the kitchen and discuss what went on at the fire, what could have been done or what wasn't done. They critique it.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's all the ball busting
Oh, yeah.
in the firehouse, which was all fun.
Of course.
And everybody's fair game.
Yep.
You know, nobody was left out. Now, it's different. It's, you have guys that come on that don't know went on years ago, right? You see them at the table, they have their phones. That's it. They have the chatter, but it's mainly on their phones. The phone is the new thing, the new norm.
Yeah, the phone is the front line, and then the chatter goes on in the back, and it's secondary. Whereas, even when I was sharing with you, even when I started, the phone, it was almost an annoyance. You know, if your phone rang or the station phone rang or something like that, I was like, damn, you know, I don't want to leave this to go deal with that or something like that. But now it's like that thing rings and you're gone. I'm guilty of it. And it's just, you know, it beeps or goes off and it's like, shoop, and you're put off by this, you know, what's actually happening at that table. Another one of the reasons we decided to do this show. That's why this table looks like this. And it's a lost art.
You have a lot of changes, especially with FDNY. You had the woman coming in. That was a phase. Then you got incorporated with EMS. Now it's under the fire department. All right. There are some houses that house EMS in the same house, but the majority, EMS has their own stations. And everybody gets along.
That's good.
I've heard stories of the importance of the churches right around the World Trade Center during 9/11. Is that connection from the church to the firehouse system wide, or was that because of the drama of that day?
I believe it was because of the drama of that day.
Yeah. There's two. Have you been there?
Not in a long time.
Okay. Yeah. There's the two churches that are pretty visible close by, depending on where you're standing, but you know, important structures in all of the chaos of that day.
Well, it brought the citizens of New York together.
Yeah.
After that day, the outpouring of the love and affection that they have for the first responders. No matter if you're a firefighter, a police officer, EMS, sanitation worker, or even construction worker that were down there. They all showed their support.
Yeah, it's like it redefined respect. Like it put honor and dignity and
purpose,
depth to
even the nurses and doctors.
Sure, I'm sure.
Everybody that was involved.
Yeah, I'm sure. We don't need another 9/11, but
no,
we need another September 12th.
Yeah.
We need that. Need to learn how to live that every day, I guess. The overwhelming support for everybody.
I was working for the bank at that time, and I was supposed to be down there. We had a disaster recovery site that we test out every so often.
Okay.
And I happened to be working the night shift the night before, and I was supposed to go down there for 8 o'clock in the morning on Wall Street to do the disaster recovery test. I didn't feel good that night, so I called my manager up and let him know, I'll do it tomorrow night around tomorrow morning instead of this morning. And he says, sure, no problem. So I go home. I take the Metro North train home. As I'm walking towards my car where I parked my car, my phone kept going off. And I look down, I see it's my friend Gus. And he says, where are you? I says, I'm walking to my car. Why? He says, the World Trade Center just got hit. I says, you're kidding me. He says, no, a plane hit the Trade Center. Because he knew I was supposed to be down there.
What vicinity would that have put you in? Like, is it like Trade Center here, your building here? Or, I mean...
2.5 blocks from the trade center.
Shoo. That's close.
Yeah. 2.5 blocks. And so I got my car to go home. As I'm going up Palmer Road, where I live, there's a golf course on the left-hand side, and I see people looking south. So I pull my car over, and I get out, and you got a straight view of the Trade Center from up in Yonkers. And all I saw was the black smoke just pouring out of the Trade Center.
I cannot
It was
imagine.
an eerie sight.
I cannot imagine.
That's when everybody thought that it was just going to burn from there up.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody
expected it
No.
to collapse.
Nope.
Not only one, but two.
Yeah. Yep. That was a changing day for our nation, but definitely a changing day for New Yorkers, for sure. For sure. And I'd say the fire service, there was a lot of changing after that for the fire service nationwide. It seemed like there was I guess the carrying of that sense of importance. The hiring seemed to go up a lot. Like people became more involved in the fire service since that day. And it's probably still going. Probably still some of that is contributed to 9/11.
But a lot of the firefighters that were down there are now dying from the toxic
Right.
smoke.
Yeah. I know Dennis Leary's doing a lot with that.
Yes.
And what's the other guy? He's a movie star. He's always in all the Adam Sandler movies. God, what's his name? Remember the guy with the two broke arms?
Yes. I don't.
What's his name? I can't think of it.
It'll come to mind in a second.
Yeah, but he, I think he was. I'm not sure if he was if he was a member of FDNY or
He
what.
was
but
55, engine 55.
Oh, Steve Buscemi.
there you
That's
go.
it. Yep.
That's it. Yep.
Yep.
I know he's doing a lot with them. You don't have their phone numbers, do you?
No. No, I never met him.
Those would be two guys that would be great to have a conversation with. That would be amazing. So what's next for you? You're just going to keep plugging along, taking pictures?
Yeah, taking pictures. I semi-retired from going down at 58 and 26.
Right.
I figure 42 years going down. In the last 3 years, because of COVID and everything, I stepped back
Sure.
because I didn't want to go down there. I didn't know what was down there, if I was going to catch COVID.
Yeah.
Not saying that I would, but I had to be careful. I had
Sure.
my grandkids home and all this, so I just stepped back. I still look into the history. Anytime I find a picture, I send it to their website, or I go to take a quick ride down there and I buy T-shirts
They sell T-shirts at that
at the
house.
firehouse.
Is that a common thing?
Yes.
Yes,
That every house does that?
basically every house has it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Every house has a patch, a
Right.
company patch, except for one house. That's Engine 67 in Upper Harlem. They do not have a patch.
The Rebels.
Is there a reason for that?
They never wanted a patch.
How about that?
They just rock the standard FDNY patch?
Yep.
Interesting.
I know. Yeah.
Huh.
It's neat.
Yeah, I wonder why. I want to know the reason. Why do you want to be so different?
Yeah.
And I have a huge patch collection too,
I bet.
where I have every single house, multiple. The companies sometimes update their patches. I have those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also into challenge coins, where
Sure.
I collect challenge coins.
I'm sure you have ours, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yes, our friend keeps me supplied.
I'm sure. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. It seems like an appropriate moment. On behalf of the, everybody's lost a family member, lost somebody, and we all know car wrecks happen, cancer happens. Like there's something, even a car wreck, we live in a modern society, but in 9/11, that was not supposed to happen. There was no part of that clicked as normal. So for those family members to have the pictures that you took along the way, I don't know why, but it makes me feel good that they had that option to be able to hold on to that. So on behalf of those people and people like them, thank you for, selflessly giving your time and your efforts and your skills and talents.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's something I enjoy doing. So it's even like, besides the photography, the cooking, I enjoy cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always posting pictures of my cooking, right? Vinny Dunn, I don't know if you ever heard of him, Chief Dunn. He wrote a lot of books on fire tactics and everything.
Sure.
He says to me I should do a cookbook. He keeps pushing me to do a cookbook.
Yeah.
So what's the holdup?
I know. Yeah.
I'm too old to do a
Come
cookbook.
on.
Yeah.
Seasoned.
I like my photography. I do my cooking as another hobby.
Well,
That should be the name of his book,
it's not-
Seasoned.
Seasoned.
And
There you
like
go.
my wife says, I'm stepping on her toes when I do the baking.
Yeah. Get out of
So,
here.
yeah, that's her domain.
Right.
Well, it seems kind of easy, if you ask me. When you cook a banging dish, you take a picture of it, and you just write down what you did. That one's done. 2 weeks later, a month later, when you cook another banging dish, take a picture. What you done? And
I just take the picture. I don't write it down. It's all in the head.
Yeah.
maybe
I
that's
do.
the skill part, right?
Right.
It's just, I don't know. This sounds good. Do you taste as you go and be like, oh, it needs
A
this?
little bit, yeah.
I have to do that when my wife's cooking a lot. Be like, it needs this.
Well, my next trip down, I told Brent I'll cook for him at the Firehouse. So why don't you guys go?
He's got a little tiny kitchen that you'd have to deal with. It'd be much better if you came to ours.
Just get Brent over there.
Yeah, we got a big kitchen, 2-company house, 13. They're right up the road from us. I'm sure they'd be fine to join us. Yeah, we can hook that up.
That's fine with me. I do it. I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah,
And
that's
listen, you guys did me the favor of pulling out the rigs, making me take the pictures. I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome.
down. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
And I also gave one of the chiefs a thumb drive of all the apparatus pictures
Okay.
because he says they have nothing in regards to apparatus pictures, and he wants to do some history
Sure.
in times where they can go back and look at the apparatus of what you guys had.
Yeah. His firehouse, you have the Ray Martin pictures around.
Yeah, but they're not just of the apparatus. I mean, he just general photography. Hose couplings, fires, whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely a missing cache of all the engines and stuff. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I bet Captain Buckner, he's head over our fleet now. He's a fireman at heart. He's doing the wrong job, but he's a fireman. But I'm sure he'd appreciate that too.
The next best thing is my stick figure drawings. I can just do those of the fire truck.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, we definitely appreciate you being gracious with your time and coming to spend it with us.
Thank
Yeah.
you very
Absolutely.
much. Like I said, I was overwhelmed when you asked me.
Yeah, good.
And
Thanks for coming on. This was fun.
absolutely. We'll do it again next time you come. How about that?
That's fine.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
I'm up for anything, so
Sounds
I enjoy
good.
it.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Bye.